This is what I'm going to be going for in this texturing video. And just one thing to remember is that this image is slightly post-processed. So the results that we get in Substance Painter may not look exactly like this. And of course, they won't anyhow, with some of the settings possibly being a little bit different. But I don't know why I put the Half-Life thing there, just because I had the alpha. I will make a bunch of things available to you on the Patreon. I will have the blend file. I will have an FBX ready to just go into Substance Painter. I'll include the Substance Painter file, but I know that some people have different versions, and if you can't open it, just use whatever version you have of Substance Painter and follow along with what I'm doing, and you should be able to get pretty similar results. And I'll include the alpha in case you want to do that as you follow along the video, or just experiment with it and anything else I may have missed. All right, so here's what I want to show you. This is the lighter that we modeled, and I've already unwrapped it. All right, so if we just come in here, I'll just show you. I've unwrapped and packed it, and I use a combination of manual unwrapping. I use some cube project, and that's probably it. If you're struggling with unwrapping, then I won't be surprised, and don't be too frustrated. While I do suggest that you watch videos and try to learn a good way for unwrapping, I also would suggest that you experiment. I mean, if you have to, try to cube project stuff, especially stuff that's sort of rectangular. And you know, if you have to use Smart UV Project once in a while, it really depends on the texture. And in this video here, or in this texture here, you know, some of those methods really won't be too bad. You may have some issues with seams where it cuts your model where you didn't want it cut. And that's the problem with these sort of automated processes. But I mean, at the very least, you can try Cube Project, Smart UV Project, try throwing some seams, see how it goes, bring it into Substance Painter, apply some textures and see. And if it doesn't look good, then go back and say, what if I added a seam here? Would that make more sense? Well, let's try it. It can be trial and error. All right, and so just don't give up. And of course, like I say, I'm going to provide the FBX, so it's going to have, you know, all the seams. It's already unwrapped. It's already in just the FBX package, and it's ready to go. I'm not saying it's the best unwrap, but hopefully it will work. And it won't look good with every texture. And if it doesn't look good with a certain texture, especially smart materials, then try a different smart material and just go until you get something that looks good. Don't be too frustrated. So here I am in Substance Painter with the FBX already in, and I've already baked it as well. I just came to Texture Set Settings, and I clicked on Bake Mesh Maps. You know, if I click that there, you can see my settings. Here I just use 1024. I could go up higher if I wanted to, but I'm not going to bother right now. And that's basically it. So we're ready to go. And I'm going to try to build this up, and we'll see how close we can get it to match. All right, so here we go. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a steel material. I'm going to type actually steel, and not that, steel rough. And I'm going to take that, I'm going to drag it to the layer stack, and it will apply it on the whole model. And already we have some nice effects in there. Okay, so what I want to do though is I want to adjust this. I'm going to bring the color quite a bit darker for what we're going to do. And I'll bring the roughness just up a little bit, and I think that's going to be probably okay to start with. So that's our base kind of layer. I now want to go into my smart materials, and I'm going to search for bronze, and I've got this bronze armor. I'm going to drag that over top, and it'll go over everything. I don't know if this one came standard in Substance Painter, or if I went to like Substance Share and I downloaded it. You can take the steel and just color it bronze, like duplicate it and make it that if you don't have this, or you can search around for your favorite smart materials. And what I want to do with this is I won't only want it on certain things, so I'm going to add a black mask to that, and I'm going to come over to my polygon fill tool, and I can choose how I want to apply this. And I'm going to see, first of all, I'm going to choose mesh. I'm going to click this. I want that with that. I want this. I want this thing here. And now, if I was to click, I want it up here. If I click this, it'll go on the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press F6 to go into orthographic and snap to there. I'm going to switch to this one. And I'm going to see if I can get just in here, just grab this stuff. Let's see if that went around to the other side. And I think it did. I just want to make sure I've got everything I need. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm going to snap to here. And I'm going to try to get just the bottom section. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to my materials and I'm going to search for plastic. I'm going to try this glossy. I'm going to drag that in. I'm going to add a black mask, and with mesh I'm going to choose the wheel, and then I'm going to make some changes to this. I want this to be sort of a whitish color. Now, you know what, maybe I'll go for a darker color, and I'll bring the roughness up. And yeah, and we'll see how that goes from there. I might switch that to white now that I think about it. And then we'll come back. Okay, just starting off here. All right. Now, I'm going to do, I think, a roughness variation. And I may do it over everything. So I'm going to add a fill layer. I'm going to Alt-click roughness. And I'm just going to bring it down a bit more. So it's pretty shiny. And I'm going to add a black mask and a fill. And in the grayscale of the fill, I'm going to search for clouds. I'll try clouds 2. And what that will do, and maybe we'll make some adjustments to that. So what that does, I would turn it on and off. There are some rough parts and some not so rough parts, some shiny parts. I'm going to do it like that, bring the contrast up a bit. But I think I'll just make it a little bit less rough. So let's call this roughness variation. And I'm going to call this wheel, just to remember that's on the wheel. That's going to be bronze, and that's going to be steel. Good enough like that. All right, cool. And save my work, and we'll move on. I'll come back, I think, to the decal. No, maybe we'll go ahead and do the decal right now. Yeah, we'll get that in there. Okay, a fill. We're going to use, let's see, we're going to use height. Probably I'm going to Alt-click height. I'm going to drop this down. I'll drop it down actually all the way. And I'm going to add a black mask and a paint. And now we're going to bring in that alpha, and I'll provide that. This is going to be in a file pack. So it'll be the blend file, the FBX, the substance painter file, which may or may not work in your version. It's going to have the alpha, etc. So I just have to find this, and you can decide to use this or you can use something else. So I want to go into textures. I've got labels, and then I've got half-life. This is it here, half-life white circle PNG. I'm going to define that as an alpha and put in my current session, and there's that, and then I'm just going to make it bigger, nice and big. I don't know why it'd be half-life lighter, but why not? I'm going to click that there, so that goes in there and it's got some height. It doesn't look that good, so I'm going to add a filter, and the filter I'm going to add is the blur filter, and yeah, let's see. I don't want it too much. I'm just going to do that for the time being. I think that looks a little bit better. Let's just call this half-life. And we'll save that. Just come back to here. And now let's see if we can get that emissive going on there. And then we'll build up the layers. So to use the emissive, I've got to come to my channels. And I don't have emissive in here. All right. So I'm going to add it. Add emissive. I'm going to duplicate this layer. And we'll see. I'll leave that for the time being. And here, I'm going to Alt-click emissive. And then switch this to like a green color. So I've got that there. And I think I will keep the blur on there. And I'm going to add another filter on top of that. And the filter is going to be this mask outline. And I'm going to switch this to inside. And play with these values till I cover up the inside. And I think I'll bring this up. And let's just play with this width here. Bring this down a little bit. So we're getting that sort of glow on the inside. We could try a little bit of blur. There we go. Something like that. Now I can come over here and I can increase the emissive intensity just a little bit. I'm going to call this emissive. And we'll carry on. I'm going to add a fill layer, and I'm going to use height. Just before that, I want to come back to here. I'm thinking about height. You see how that's changed my emissive a little bit? I might bump that up a little bit. I think that might be a neat effect. Or we could try going down. Whichever one. I'll leave it there for now. All right. Okay, back over to here. And we're going to, this is going to be a noise layer. So I'll call that noise. And I only want this noise to appear on the body and on here. So I'm going to add a black mask. And I'm going to choose the top, and you can't really see anything yet, so I think I'll add the color so we know that's going on there. Okay, so back to here, and I'm going to add it to the body here. So let's go back, let's try this. Okay, just do it like this. That's good enough like that. It's not going to stay white like that. In fact, I'm going to get rid of that now. And as far as height goes, let's try 0.07. You won't see anything yet. Over here, I'm going to add a fill. And in the grayscale, I'm going to search noise. And what I want is this directional noise 2. I think I'm going to try this. Okay, so you see what's happening there. Okay, right now it's going on everything, and I'm not going to leave it like that. Okay, in terms of values, I'm going to put my balance at 0.3. So now I'm getting less of those. Let's play with the contrast a bit. I just want these splotchy things here and there. So now with that there, let's create a folder, drag that into the folder, and really I want this mask. I'm going to do copy mask. I'm going to do paste into mask. I just don't want that there. So it's not on the gold part. It's just on the body of that right there. Okay, just one other little effect that we want on there. You can experiment, of course, with the height. You can try bringing it down if you want it going in, but I'm just gonna put that here. Something like that is okay with me. So we've got some noise on there. So I'll call that whole thing noise. I'm going to create a fill layer, and I'm going to clear this, come back to my materials, and I'm going to search for rust. I'm going to take this rust coarse and put that in the base color, and that's going to go all over there. I now have access to this stuff. I'm going to make the roughness 0.67, and I'm going to drop the height down. negative 0.2. And now I'm going to come over to my black masks, or my smart masks, sorry, and experiment a little bit with this. Let's see if I go over and look for rust. I'm going to try this Dirt Dusty. Yeah, that's the one that I'm going to go for. And we're going to get an effect like this. All right, so the rust is kind of, you know, inside there. Let's try 0.6. Let's put the contrast at 0.12. I may come up with some blur to give this effect here. I think I like that. And then on top of that, I'm going to add another fill. And I'm going to use clouds. Let's use clouds 3. And that's a neat effect. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch this to subtract. And that will cut away. Let's come in here and let's just see what happens. Okay, I'm just going to lower that down a little bit. Sharpen that up. And then here, you know, here you can really experiment with the values. But you see it's going all over, so it's really grunging things up. And I may now decide to come back down here and make it more rough, make it darker, although we're going to be adding dirt to it momentarily. Okay, I'm going to call this rust. And I want to add another filter on top of this. Watch this one. Add filter. And the filter I'm going to add is a blur slope. And that's really going to chop it up into these pieces like that. Which looks really broken up and sort of faceted and flaky. I think the next thing we'll do is we'll add, I'm going to try a curvature. I'm going to use color. I might use roughness, sort of bring it up. I'm going to make this pretty dark. And I'm going to add a black mask and a generator. And we're going to try curvature. All right. Let's see. Let me check the roughness. 0.6, that's good. Let's come back to the curvature itself. Balance. Try 0.35. All right. So I may want to come back to my steel, make it a little bit lighter. And here I'm going to, let's go back to the curvature. Let's open that up. We can play with these values, lower them a bit. Okay, so we're getting this. We'll have some dirt over this so it'll hopefully start looking a little bit better. Just before we go on, we're also going to add blur to this. So that's going to change things a little bit. Maybe a little bit less than that. Let's add some dirt on top of this with color and roughness. Roughness all the way up, and let's bring it down there. We'll use the dirt generator. See, that kind of covers it up nicely. And now we're getting very close to the effect that I'm going for. It's going to be very light dependent. Okay, yeah, okay, good. this is dirt. Let's grunge this up a little bit by coming down to, I think we'll do it here on the alpha. I'm going to add an anchor point. It'll take the name of the mask, Half-Life mask. Then I'm going to come up to the rust, to the mask editor, and scroll down a bit till I see micro details, micro height. I'm going to use the height. I'm going to turn that to true and scroll down here, micro height, choose that anchor point, and now some of that rust has gone into here. And you can play with levels if you want. Let's try inverting it. I don't think that's going to be what we want. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about that. All right, so we've done that. I also want the dirt here. We could do curvature if we wanted as well. In the dirt, let's go to the micro details. For micro height, make that true. Micro height here, choose that anchor point. We have this, and we'll try inverting that, and I think that's more of what I want to get out of this. So you can play with the levels a bit. So we're getting this. And what about curvature? Let's see if that looks any good. Let's come down and use micro details. Let's make that true. Micro height, anchor point. We'll try it. That just gives a little bit of something in there. And we can play with it, but I think I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, good. And we can add some, we can come here and add a paint layer and switch brushes and go for, say, dirt, but try this dirt too. I'm just going to draw for a second. And we can create some more damage here. We'll go on to there. And maybe that was a little bit too much. You can try a different dirt brush. It might be a bit too much as well. I'm going to come back to this one. Just go in there. Okay. And we can also come to the rust layer. And maybe here we can add a paint layer. Let's try this. You can add a bit more rust. You know, just kind of grunge it up here and there. And it'll be affected. See what I just did there? It'll be affected by that blur slope as well. So I'm going to save that. Okay, I'm liking that so far. Right, starting to look like the image we had before. And then, you know, like I say, any of these effects you can add to. Let's put a couple of bolts on here, and I'll do that. I'll do that right here. I'll do it above there, underneath the rust. Let's go for color and height. Let's drop the height down, and let's leave it there for now. And maybe we'll bring the metallic up. We'll try that. Bring the metallic up. And I'll add a black mask and a paint. And I'll come to my alphas. And I'm going to type circle, and I'm going to get this circle with the plus in it. And I'm just going to look down. And the only thing is, I want to look at the properties here. I want my flow to be all the way up, and spacing down, and size jitter. No, I don't want to screw with that, but angle jitter I'll leave on. So do one there, we'll do one there. And just so we have that in there. And then let's just look at this and decide, do we want that all the way down maybe? Do we want it up? No, I'm going to go with that, like it's kind of recessed in. I think that looks okay. Metallic, yeah. What about roughness? Do you want that? And just so it's there. And that's a bolt. That's okay. Just like that. Not very big or anything, but you might see them if you're zoomed in. Okay, so I've got a name here. I've called this Metal Lighter Unwrapped, and that's the name of the file here. And I'm going to export this, export the textures, and I'm going to choose the templates, the PBR Metallic Roughness template. This one happens to have, you want to make sure it's got emissive and just all the other basic things, and that your normal is OpenGL. Okay, and I will take that and I will just save that. And then let's hop back over to Blender. Let's come to the shading tab, select part of it, and I'm going to call this, I can't remember what it was called. Metal Lighter Unwrapped. Okay. Metal, you can call it whatever you want, but Metal Lighter Unwrapped. And Shift Control T and find Metal Lighter Unwrapped. Where is it? There. Base color down to roughness, principal texture setup. So I'm going to do that, but I'm going to get rid of this displacement node, and I'm going to get rid of that one. And the emissive is connected. Let's open this up and let's set it at about 5 or so. Let's come back to layout and switch to this and select everything, and then select that last and Control L, link materials, and we have our lighter in there. And then of course it's just using whatever your default HDRI is, which for me is this one right now. And I can do the following. I can Shift A, collection instance lighter, bring another one in and go rotate Z 90 maybe minus, no, it didn't work. Rotate Z 180, I'll just have it facing the front. And I'll take one more maybe, and I'll just rotate Z 45, let's say. So I got them in a few different positions. So we've got that, and then if you want, you can add a couple of lights. So I'll add a point light here, and I'll bring it out in front. And you have to have scene lights on for it to have an effect. And I'm going to give it like a, maybe I'll try a blue. Let's try this at 50 and see what that's like. That might be a bit much, but depending on what you're doing, I'll put that there. And maybe I'll copy it and bring another one over here. And one over there. There. Let's try making this one sort of a greenish color. You know, just something like that. Yeah, okay, so there's just a little bit of something. You can try adding a sun, and let's just move it over here and rotate it a bit. Make it maybe 4 just to light things up a bit. You get something like that. So we just have a little bit of color in there. And we'll close these up and press T to hide that. Control spacebar to maximize. And maybe go like this. Oh, and also let's make sure, let's go back and turn on, because I'm just in Eevee, turn on ray tracing. Okay, to give you a little bit of that ambient occlusion type look. Save, Control spacebar, and go to View, Viewport Render Image. And you have a little bit of a render that you can post-process and make it something like that. All right, so that's going to be it for this video. I will make the files available. I'll let you know when they're there. You'll be able to follow the links in the description if you want to grab them on the Zero Bio Patreon. and thanks for watching.